Hey there, Tiffany Thomas with wealthytiffany.com, and in today's video, we are talking about what to do with your money if you are in college or recently graduated from high school and have just started a job and have a little bit of money saved up and starting to earn some more money. And this is actually part 2 in the 4-part video series. So if you haven't checked out part 1, I'm going to leave the link below and you can check that out. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about where to invest your money. And before we dive in, if you are ready for financial freedom right now, comment freedom below in the comments. And if you don't want to comment freedom, then give me some other random comment to help out the YouTube algorithm so this video can get out to more people. All right, let's dive in and talk about where we should be investing our money. And like I said, this is for those that are younger and they aren't planning on retiring in a couple of years, so they have plenty of time to have their money grow over time. And we are keeping it as simple as possible. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want people to actually take action. So if things are overwhelming or they're too complicated, a lot of times we aren't going to take action. So the recommendations that I'm giving, I'm keeping it very simple. And there are other options, but this is kind of just if you want to get started and you don't want to spend a lot of time doing a ton of different research, then these are great options for you. And even I use these options. So it's not like I'm giving advice that I actually wouldn't take myself. All right, so let's talk about where we should be investing our money. So the first video we talked about getting your emergency fund and the importance of investing. So in today's video, we're going to talk about where to invest that money. And the first option, if you have a full-time job, they may offer a 401k plan for you, or they may not, depending on where you're working. I know I had some part-time jobs when I was in college, and I had some internships, so a lot of the benefits weren't really offered to me, whereas if I was a full-time employee that planned on being there for years, then other benefits would have been offered to me. But if there is an offer at your current employer to set up a 401k and they are providing a match on your 401k, I would recommend setting that up. And it can be very simple. You can just talk to whoever it is over the 401k plan at your office and they can help you set that up, and then ask them how much the match is and then invest up to the match. So sometimes they'll match maybe 3%, or it could be even up to 6%. So whatever that number is, then if you are able to, I would really, really recommend getting that match because it's essentially free money. And when you are so young, like I mentioned in the last video, the more that you can invest, the younger you are, the better off you're going to be later on. So that is the first recommendation. If your employer offers that 401k and they have a match, then go ahead and start investing your money in the 401k. And they are going to give you some options to invest your money. They will have different funds available and they're going to have a whole list of them. And you want to ask, okay, what are the riskiest funds to invest in, because you're not going to be pulling your money out anytime soon. So you want to be as risky as possible. And then you also want to ask, what are the lowest expense ratios? And you don't need all of the details. If you ask those 2 questions, then you can pick a really good fund to invest in. Because every fund that they offer, you are investing in the stock market inside of that certain fund. And each fund has its own expense ratio. And this is a percentage that you're going to be paying in order to invest in that fund. And a lot of people will say, oh, there's no fees or anything to invest in my 401k, which isn't true. There's, I shouldn't say always, but 99.999% of the time, there's going to be an expense ratio associated with that. Ask whoever is over your 401k plan to give you a list of the most risky funds and the expense ratios. And you're essentially going to choose probably just one fund that is the lowest expense ratio and the riskiest. So you want to be investing in stocks, not in bonds. Bonds are not as risky and you're not going to get as high of a return when you do that. And stocks are risky, so you'll see your money, your portfolio, go up and down over time. But don't worry about that because you're not going to pull that money out soon. So you don't need to worry about that. And like I said, I'm just trying to keep this as simple as possible. There's other criteria that you can look at, but if you just want to get started and you want to get started right away and keep it very, very simple, then just choose one fund that's very risky and has that really low expense ratio. Okay, and if your employer does not provide a 401k, your next option would be to set up a Roth IRA, and that stands for Individual Retirement Account. This is an account that you would set up yourself. This is not through your employer. And there are a few reasons that I recommend a Roth IRA, because you also have the option of doing a traditional IRA. But with a Roth IRA, you're going to pay taxes on that money right now. But when you pull that money out, you're going to pull it out tax-free. Since you are young and you're probably in a really low tax bracket, you're going to be paying not that much in taxes right now. So it would be better for you to pay those taxes up front and let your money grow over time. And then when you pull that money out, you don't have to worry about paying taxes because you'll probably be in a higher tax bracket. So you would pay more taxes on that money if you were to pay it later. That's one reason I recommend the Roth. The second reason I recommend a Roth IRA is because there is no penalty for pulling your money out that you have contributed. Any money that you've put inside of your Roth, you can pull it out at any time without a penalty, and you've already paid taxes on it. And where you are so young, if you change your mind and you want to invest in some real estate or some type of other investment, then you have that ability to pull that money out of a Roth IRA without a penalty. Anything that you have earned on that money, if you were to pull out what you have earned, then there would be a penalty for pulling that money out. Keep that in mind. If you are single, you can invest up to $6,500 per year into a Roth IRA. And maybe you won't have that amount right now, but that's totally fine. You can just invest as much as possible in there and get started very, very simply. Keep in mind with an IRA or a Roth IRA, the traditional age to pull out your money is 59 and a half. But with a Roth IRA, you don't actually have to pull it out by a certain age. You could keep that money in there for life and even roll it over to one of your children or a relative. That's another benefit to the Roth. With a traditional IRA, there is a requirement to start pulling that money out at a certain age, but not with the Roth. Since it is a retirement account, individual retirement account, that's why there's a penalty to pull out any money that you have gained, that you have earned before age 59 and a half. So just be aware of that. And any money that you are contributing to a Roth IRA, you have to have earned that money within the same year. So if you took a year off from your job and you didn't make any money that year, maybe you were going to school full time or doing something else, but you have some money in savings, you can't take that money in savings that you had earned before and put it into your Roth IRA because you need to earn that money within the same year. So if that is the case, that you have money you've earned in previous years and you want to get that money invested, you can set up a brokerage account. And a brokerage account is a taxable account. So like I said, with the Roth, when you put your money in there, you pay your taxes, but it grows tax-free over time. And with a brokerage account, you put that money in there that you've already paid taxes on. Your taxes have already come out of your paycheck. You put that money in there and you can invest it in stocks or in funds or ETFs, which I'll get to in just a minute. You can put as much money as you want to in there and you can pull it out whenever you want to. This is not a retirement account. It's just a brokerage account, which means you're essentially buying and selling stocks or funds at any time you would like to. So if you have money that you earned in previous years and you want to just get that money invested, a brokerage account is a really simple way to do that. And if you wanted to buy a house in a few years, then you can take that money out, all of the money that you put in and the money that you have earned without a penalty. You will pay taxes on that money though. So you want to keep your money in the brokerage account for at least a year because you'll probably pay a lower amount of taxes if you keep it at least a year. And I actually have used my brokerage account and have taken money out that I have invested in the stock market and put it toward a down payment on one of my properties. So it worked really, really well. I didn't have to pay any penalty because I can take that money out whenever I want to. I just had to pay the taxes on that money. And since I had that in there over a year, my taxes for that were really low. So it wasn't super expensive. It's a great way to get your money invested, get it in the stock market, get it working for you, and you have that flexibility to pull it out at any time. As far as where to set up these accounts, for a Roth IRA, I would recommend Vanguard. That's where I have mine set up. They are an excellent platform. They have been around for years and years and years and years. And they have really great funds, really low fees, low expense ratios. And it's free to invest with Vanguard. You just have to sign up for their electronic paper statements, which I'm sure you would do anyway. But you can just go on their website and click on Open Roth IRA and get started. And since we are keeping things extremely simple, you can also set up your brokerage account at Vanguard. And what I'm going to recommend is to invest in what's called an ETF, an exchange traded fund. There are lots of different options. You can do individual stocks, you can do index funds, mutual funds, and I'm not going to go over all of the differences and similarities between the different investment options. If you are curious about that, I have other videos about that and even about 401k or Roth IRA. So make sure and check those videos out if you do want more details. But for the simplicity of things, I'm going to just recommend an ETF, and I'm going to recommend the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. So when you go to set up your account and you deposit your money in there, once you deposit it in there, it's not invested in anything. It just sits in kind of a cash account. So you want to make sure and select what you want to be invested in. And like I said, I would recommend that Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. There is no minimum to invest in that. You just have to purchase at least one share of that ETF, which is about $158. So once you have $158 to invest, you can go ahead and purchase that ETF. And then I want you to continue to add to that. Just keep purchasing that same ETF over and over. Every time you get paid, make sure and continue to invest. And you can select that fund for your Roth IRA and your brokerage account. And that's what I'm going to recommend since we are keeping it very simple and I want you to take action today, actually. That ETF is investing in all of the US stocks on the US stock market. So you have a really good variety of stocks that you're investing in. And since you are so young, you're not going to want to invest in bonds right now. You want to be as risky as possible and make your money work for you. You want it to grow over time, so you want to keep that risk, but you don't want to just be selecting one stock because you're going to have to keep an eye on that. And it's risky. It's even riskier to invest in one stock because if that company was to go out of business, there goes your whole investment. That's why I like recommending the ETF. It's very simple. You don't have to do any research and you don't have to keep an eye on it because it's going to automatically track the US total stock market. When stocks fall off of the stock market, they go out of business, bankrupt, whatever, they are pulled out of the ETF. New companies are added, they're going to be put into that ETF because it's just tracking the US total stock market. That's all it's doing. That is a safer investment while it is still risky. And it has a really low expense ratio. The expense ratio is 0.03%, which is super low. You most likely are not going to see that in your 401k with any funds that are inside of there. That's why I'm recommending you only do the match. And if you have extra money to invest, then I would start with a Roth IRA or a brokerage account. And that 0.03%, that expense ratio, is not going to be a separate line item. That's automatically going to be deducted from your account. So you don't have to worry about paying that. You just have to worry about continuing to add to your investment account. Now, all of this being said, I want you to keep in mind that the stock market is risky. It's going to go up and down over time, but the thing with the stock market is that as it goes up and down over time, it continues to rise. So as it dips, it's going to come back up and up and up over time. So it's not like you're going down, down, down with the stock market. It's always going to come back up. So be aware when I say you can take money out of your account, yes, you can. You just want to make sure that the stock market hasn't tanked and you're going to be losing a ton of money by withdrawing it when the stock market is way low. You want to take a look and just kind of see, okay, is the stock market up? Have my investments gone up? Has that ETF risen over time? Or is the stock market really low? And wait for the stock market to come back up a little bit. Because it's not like your money is sitting in a savings account earning that interest rate over time and you're not losing any money. It's going to go up and down over time. Just be aware, if you are saving for something and you want to buy that within 6 months, then maybe you want to put your money into your online savings account. But if you can be flexible and you maybe want to buy that in a couple of years, then you could start investing in the stock market. But if in a couple of years the stock market is down, maybe you can wait an extra year until it comes back up. Just keep that in mind when you are investing your money. It's going to go up and down over time. So there's no guarantee that it's going to be way up when you are ready to pull that money out. But the thing is, like I said, it will go up over time. And where you are so young and you're not going to be needing to pull out your money and retire and live on that within just a couple of years, you want to be as risky as possible so that you can have the highest return possible on your money. And then just be flexible. If you do want to pull out some of your money to buy a house, then keep your eye on the stock market for a little bit and just kind of see, okay, is it up right now? Or did it take a dip? Maybe I can wait a few more months. Just be aware there is risk involved, but it's such a great way to invest your money because you can earn so much money in the stock market. And by keeping your money in a savings account, you are not even keeping up with inflation. Inflation is about 3%, and right now, savings accounts are earning maybe 1.7%. So you see the difference, 1.7 versus 3%. If you're keeping all your money in the savings account at 1.7, you're not keeping up with inflation, with prices going up over time. So you really want to invest your money. On average, the stock market has returned about 8%, which is a lot better than 1.7%. Even though there is risk associated with it, it's well worth the risk. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, please hit the like button and share it with someone else who needs to hear this information. And if you haven't checked out video 1 in this series, I'm going to leave the link below, so check out that video. And please hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can get this channel out to more people. And if you guys have other ideas about content you would like me to create, please put that in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks!